it's very meaningful in so many ways. Holy smokes, I can't believe I'm here with all of you. This day and the thought of this day has been such a motivation for me for the last 3 years, and it's real. And you all are even better looking than you've been in my head this whole time. So I'm very happy, and I just want to, before saying anything else, thank you for being here. Thank you for celebrating with us and being a part of this. Thank you to the whole Smith Center team, especially to Executive Director Lisa Booth. Where's Lisa? Who not only is hosting this event with us, but has been such a champion of my work and has offered a gorgeous vision of healing that is messy and beautiful and dynamic. That means so much to me too. So thank you. This space is really, really special to me. My mom and my beloved chosen father, John Qualley, came here to Smith Center years ago, getting support for living with cancer. And it's where John Holmes and his wife Lynn also came to get support in living with cancer. And all these years later, my mom and John Holmes are hosting us here tonight in a space that has meant so much to both of our families. Thank you. So that's a little bit about how we got here in like a geographic sense, and now we'll go back to the beginning in the words of Hillary Duff and talk a little bit more how we got here. And we'll be hydrated along the way. I have to say my favorite comment I received so far of an Amazon review is from my cousin Naomi, who couldn't be with us today, but she wrote in her review she never was so hydrated as reading the book because I put so many reminders in the pages to drink water. So practice what I preach here and continue to be hydrated. There are so many lies I'd love to tell you and feel compelled to tell you tonight, but I wrote a book with the word honestly in its title, and that kind of, puts me in a little bit of a corner here. The first lie I would like to tell you is that I had a vision for this book, and I knew what I wanted to be, and I had like a real dream and a real sense of it, and that is, like, simply put, not true. It was a conversation with another survivor, Charlotte Ashlock, who would eventually become my editor, that really changed everything for me. The first time I met Charlotte, I spent about 20 minutes on this tirade at her about why I couldn't write this book, because I hated almost everything that existed that was out there for childhood sexual abuse survivors. I told her, I'm not gonna write you some cute little guide about how to go from being a survivor to a thriver. In fact, I wouldn't even use any rhymes in what I'm I told her about how while memoirs from other survivors were very beautiful, I found them really re-traumatizing. And all the books written by clinicians and therapists made me feel like some sort of traumatized lab rat. And so I really couldn't see it. And at some point I ran out of air, and it gave her an opportunity to start talking. And she told me that from all I had spewed at her, she could actually see what I wanted perfectly. She said that I wanted a book that calls bullshit on all the nonsense survivors have to navigate just to connect to themselves and to each other. That I wanted a book that believed survivors are capable and worthy of the colorful and messy, beautiful lives that we all deserve. And Charlotte was totally right. The next lie I want to tell you is that writing this book was hard, but like really cathartic. And like really good for my healing. Spoiler alert, it was hard. It was not cathartic for my healing. For so much of my writing experience, she says, laughing, I really wasn't okay. And it's hard for me to say that aloud because I don't want to create some sort of impression that I'm a martyr. Martyrdom is not a good look on any of us. I wrote this book because it's what I really, really, really wanted to do. But I also want to hold two truths at the same time. which is this is exactly what I wanted to do. And also, I think far too often, survivors have to pay way too high of a price to simply tell our stories to each other and help each other not feel alone. And I got through that process because of all of you here. You held me, you sent me food, you let me cry in public. You did everything you could to distract me, to celebrate me, and to make me feel alive again. And as the great Barbara sang, and then the pretty great Beanie Feldstein sang, and then the reluctantly great Leah Michelle sang, people who need people are the luckiest people in the world, and I am grateful for all of you. The last lie I feel eager to tell you all is that the world is like really excited to talk about childhood I wish I could tell you that we rang in this new dawn, a new era, where society is finally ready to address that 20% of us experience sexual violence before our 18th birthdays. But we are working, as Danielle said, through a world of bullshit stigma and rape culture that tries to silence survivors, erase what we have been through, and oppress us. And it's all piping hot garbage. But I don't feel discouraged today about that because of all of you. And I believe in all of us. And since the dawn of time, CSA survivors have been telling our stories to each other, finding support in ways that work for us, and finding ways to care for one another. More water. That support started for me well before I ever started writing. From my survivor editor, Charlotte, who I told you about, to my survivor agent, Danielle, who became a team of fierce advocates, to Aisha Shahida Simmons, Ignacio Rivera, and Amita Swadin, my friends and teachers, to the entire Healing Honestly online community of 500,000 survivors from around the world, who are some of the most passionate and funniest people I've ever met. I have always had a community of survivors to support me. So once the writing began, then I also had the words and wisdom of 41 other childhood sexual abuse survivors who contributed to this book. So many of you are here today, but I won't identify you because we love consent in this family. But I want you to know that I know who you are, and I know what you have offered us. You gave this book life, and you gave me community. This book is magical because of you. And so now we get to do what we've always known to do. In our own ways that align with our well-being, we talk to each other. We share our stories. We tell each other what's helped us. We find ways to laugh in the darkness and to celebrate together in the light. I know it will be survivors and the people who love us who carry on this book and help those who need it to find it. And it's already happening. To each of you who are part of this book and help contribute to it, I want you to know people from around the world are already reading your words. I've heard from readers across Europe, Australia, and India and beyond who've already gotten their hands on the book and are relating to your stories and seeing themselves in your wisdom. I heard from one reader in Finland who gobbled up the book and read it really quickly. Oh my gosh, and there's Ignacio Rivera, who I just mentioned. Amazing. I love you so much. My heart is so full. There is this one reader in Finland who she got the book really early and then she gobbled it up and read it really fast and then she bought a bunch of copies and then she brought a copy to her therapist and she said, "You need to read this in order to understand me." And then there was somebody who came up to me in Baltimore recently at a book signing and she asked me to make the book out to her and her best friend because they were going to read the book together to help support one another in their healing. And then there was my favorite piece of feedback from a reader in New Zealand who wrote this really beautiful letter to me about what the book meant to them and then ended it with, "I guess what I'm trying to say is trauma is dumb, but this book is great." This is all our collective impact. And it's what I hope to be the legacy of this book, that survivors and the people who love us read these pages and find ways to have connection with each other in a way that feels safe and healing. We all need people, and that's a really good thing. So more than anything, thank you for being here. Thank you for being who I have needed. Thank you for helping to get the word out about this book, including using #HealingHonestly, posting photos, telling friends, buying books for people, writing reviews on Amazon, and all of the things. It helps us find what we need when we need it the